There'll be food and drink and ghosts, and perhaps even a few murders. You're all invited.
When we first went in, one of the people said, "Who are you?" And Tex said, "I'm the devil, and I'm here to do the devil's business."
Hello, everyone. We're
Hey.
back.
Hi, everybody.
How's it going?
Welcome to the Bizarre Buffet.
Apparently, Mark, we're like kind of on the same menstrual cycle.
We are, because for the last episode that Jen did, her intro question is very similar to my intro question. And I know sooner or later, like, Jen and I are going to collide and have the same topic.
I'm waiting for the day.
And like, I love when we like kind of hover.
Yeah.
It's like,
the tension.
Like the lightsabers are like close, but they're not touching.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, so today's question. So as discussed in past episodes, every job profession always comes with the risk of death.
What is going on here? Did you guys secretly collaborate?
We could have.
Some of them more likely than others, right?
Yeah.
If you work in an airline, your high risk of death would be like being in a plane crash.
Yeah.
Right?
Of course.
So this week, I would like to discuss something that kills an average of 24 farmers per year.
Oh.
That being said, what do you think it is?
Is it the pesticides?
You think it's pesticides?
I think it's pesticides or tractors.
Yeah. Yeah.
A tractor death.
Yes.
I would say probably pesticides or tractors as well.
You're copying me.
I am copying you because you know what? Those are great answers, and I really don't have better ones.
We're probably both wrong.
We're probably, probably. Yeah,
They
we're
are
always wrong.
they are good answers, and I bet you that the tractors and the pesticides is responsible for a lot more deaths than this.
Okay.
So I think you hit the nail on the head.
Whose corn cobs are killing people? Let us know.
But because it's Bizarre Buffet, we're going to talk about like the weird angle.
Yeah, of course.
Right?
Obviously.
Okay, so you're both wrong.
But we always are on your episode.
We are always.
Insert episode artwork for the extreme fetish episode.
Yes, absolutely. Insert here.
That was a good time, that episode. Okay,
Yeah.
so the answer is, are we ready?
Yeah.
Death by drowning in corn/beans while inside of a silo tower.
Wait.
Oh.
So,
What?
Yup. Okay, so you know those like big cylindrical. Do you know those big cylindrical silo towers?
Yes, but
So-
how do you get drowned in corn
Oh,
and beans?
We're gonna talk all about it in this
and
episode.
beans. Yes, exactly.
All sorts of things.
Oh.
Yeah, it has a name. It's called grain entrapment. Yeah.
Sorry.
I feel like this episode, it's a serious topic, but it's also kind of in alignment with the Great Molasses Flood that
Insert
we did.
episode artwork
Yes.
here.
So it's kind of like that, where it's like, okay, we're talking about death and a serious issue, but the obscurity of it's kind of like, oh, okay, I
Kind
never
of
heard
silly
of
at
that.
the same time.
Yeah.
Grain entrapment.
Grain entrapment.
Okay.
Also, oddly enough, I'm wearing like a flannel,
Oh, yeah.
which is kind
She's
of
a
like
silo
farmery.
girl.
And Mark and I are still wearing the same clothes.
Yeah, absolutely. As usual.
This was
usual.
not planned.
Yeah.
This is not planned.
It sure was. Can I just really quick say that one of my things I've been enjoying eating as a pregnant woman is corn on the cob.
There might be a dead body in that corn.
I know. Listen, better check that corn for DNA.
Yup.
Oh my God.
You might see like a piece of a shirt in it.
Oh no.
Or a flannel.
A flannel, like
Well-
what Mark's wearing.
Like I'm wearing. Well, this happened, for example, in 2022. There was 83 instances of this happening. Out of the 83, 24 of the people died.
That's a
Yeah.
decent amount.
So this entire thing sounds a little weird. I know we all have questions.
Yeah, I
about-
have a lot of questions. I'm very perplexed.
It's like, how the hell does this happen?
Yeah.
And who is this happening to, etc.
Yeah.
This most commonly happens with grain bins and silos/grain elevators. This has also been known to happen inside of vehicles. that hold grain.
So a tractor?
I guess it's not a tractor. It's like, it looks like a cylinder.
Yes.
And I don't know if it spins or not. That might be a cement mixer.
I think I know what you're talking about.
But, something that's transporting the...
It's like a silver, oval, cylindrical...
Yeah.
You can tell we are all country folk.
We
Nothing
absolutely
about this.
are, yes. In New Jersey. We live in the wrong part of New Jersey for this.
I know all the farmers are going to, watch this and be like, that damn queer.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't have to be lonely at farmersonly.com.
It should also be noted that this occurrence can also happen on just a freestanding pile of grain.
A freestanding how?
Yeah, so let's just say if there's a big pile of grain that's 10 feet tall and you're standing on the top of it,
Okay.
you can sink into it and be engulfed.
So it's
I'm still,
quick-
I have a lot of questions.
Yep.
like quick-
Now kind of like quicksand. So
quicksand corn as opposed to quicksand
or
porn.
grain. It almost looks like sand, like grain.
Oh.
Okay.
Corn grain. I don't know anything about grain, but it's grain. I guess could be like wheat or corn or
Yeah.
seeds. I don't know. They call it.
Wow.
grain.
Any farmers
Oats.
out here listening to us?
Yeah.
Why don't you send us some help?
Yeah, please do.
Let's talk about how this happens. So, the entrapment occurs when victims become partially submerged to the point where they cannot move themselves within the grain or remove themselves from the grain. Engulfment happens when they are buried completely by the grain, which is basically a guaranteed mortality. Drowning.
Oh, that's so sad.
It's literally you're drowning. So
Yeah.
grain entrapment is when you get stuck. Grain engulfment is when you drown.
Oh.
And either or can kill you.
Oh, that was my next question.
Yeah.
Do you die from grain entrapment?
Correct. And engulfment.
but
It's two different
But
ways of-
engulfment is more you die from.
But
so
entrapment, you can survive.
you can survive entrapment,
Okay.
but not for long.
Okay.
I'll get into how all of
my
this
goodness.
works, but I just wanted to
I'm
differentiate
engulfed.
the difference between entrapment meaning trapped and engulfed meaning you're literally engulfed and drowning.
Well, I just want to let you know that I'm entirely engulfed in this story.
Oh, good.
Yes, Mark.
Oh, good. I hope you're entrapped by my beauty.
Oh,
Yes,
well,
we are.
engulfed more or less.
Engulfed.
Yeah, we're engulfed
So-
by all.
So let's kind of talk about this. So the entrapment occurs when the victims become partially submerged to the point, like I said, they can't remove themselves from the grain. Engulfment is when they drown in the grain. Often the deaths involve miners or agricultural workers.
I could see why I would include minors. I know a lot of times when it comes to farming, it's usually run by families. A lot of times children are helping out on the farms,
Yeah,
doing their daily farm chores.
as I do every day.
And oddly enough, Jen, this comes up later on in the topic. This
Does
is
it?
actually a big part of the problem
Ooh.
with this.
Because I feel like...
Jen Wilson cracking the case.
Oh, there we go. But yeah, I think a lot of times with children, they're working machinery that a lot of times they normally should not be,
Correct.
working.
Like helicopters on the Twilight Zone set.
Insert episode artwork here.
Right here, bitch. That's right.
When you drown in the grain literally will fill your airways. So your mouth, your nose, your throat, your lungs, your stomach,
All your
ears,
orifices.
everything.
I love that.
All right, so
Gross.
now that we have an understanding, we know the difference, we know the visuals. How the fuck does this happen? Right?
Yeah,
there's always
tell me.
a science
us.
behind it.
Somebody trying to make popcorn and they go up on the silo and they try to get a big old cup of pop.
Not quite, but
Okay.
so how this happens, so within these large silos and these piles of grain, it appears that you can almost walk on top of the grain pile, which you can.
Okay.
So let's just say you have a silo and it's 50 feet tall. You have 30 feet worth of grain in there. You can walk on the top of that grain.
Because
And
it's so dense.
because it's so dense, sometimes you have to access the grain from the top of the silo
Okay.
rather than the bottom. So I hope that kind of puts I hope it gives you an understanding as to how someone would get into the silo, or like why they would be walking on grain.
Yeah, because it's so high, it's so dense.
Yeah.
And if you're accessing it from the top, you'd be able to stand on it.
Exactly.
Yeah, and
But
farmers do this all the time.
Yeah.
Like, this is normal. It wasn't until recent times that they understood the great risks behind it. Now, walking on top of the grain, it normally occurs when there's a clog in the silo and the grain clumps together, making it unable to move freely and as accessible. So they have to go into the silo, get on top of that pile of grain, and try to like shift it around.
Like stomp it.
Yeah, if it rots, it'll like clump together. So they gotta like kind of, I don't know, mush
Break it up.
Break it up, yeah.
Break it up, break it up, break
Break
it
it
up.
up. Break it up, ladies.
During this process, under the grain, there could be potential air pockets. Now, when these air pockets burst, it forms this sort of sinkhole, which sucks you in a matter of seconds. When all the grain above the air pocket sinks, the effect is much like quicksand, but it's a lot worse.
Oh.
The grain...
Quick grain.
Quick grain. Yeah, quick grain.
The quick grain.
Trademark.
The grain is packed so tightly together that sinking up to your chest alone can kill you because the pressure is so intense. It's like having hundreds of pounds pressed up against you. And when it's like that, your chest can't expand, therefore you suffocate and die.
I can imagine that.
Yeah.
And like I said earlier, if you are engulfed where it goes over your head, you drown and you're crushed at the same time.
Wow.
So it's a really, really shitty way to die.
Yeah, it is.
This also can happen from grain falling onto the person from above as well.
Like the pressure?
Yeah, like almost as if like an avalanche of grain, or if something above you with grain collapses, you can be buried in a matter of seconds.
Oh, shit.
And because it happens so quickly, you don't have time to escape. And as soon as it gets to like your knees, you're like engulfed. You can't move.
Holy shit.
That's scary.
That is really scary.
Yeah.
I would never want to be a farmer.
No, me neither.
I don't think... I think we
I
would
don't think
fail farmer
I'd
school.
be made out for the farm life.
Yeah, no, me neither. Especially if I have to stomp grain silos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like deworm a cow.
No, thank you.
Insert episode artwork for cow deworming strange tapes episode that we did.
And this whole idea, there's been a few movies that have depicted this. So if you're
Really?
having a hard time like visualizing like what this would look like or how it happens, there's a few films you can check out. One is a 1985 Harrison Ford movie called Witness, where someone is engulfed.
I've never seen it.
There's
You've
this,
never seen Witness?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, such a good movie.
Yeah.
And more recent times, there's another film called A Quiet Place where you see
Yes.
two family members like kind of drowning within the silo. And
You
then,
should watch that if you haven't. Have you seen Quiet Place?
I haven't seen it,
I
but
think you would both really like it.
I know somebody who worked on A Quiet Place Part 2.
Oh,
I've seen both. They're really
Yeah? They're good?
good.
Is
have
that
to see
are
it.
those the movies where everybody has to be silent?
It's everyone has to be silent, and they actually have like a deaf character.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
So like imagine like having to be silent but then like being deaf at the same time.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Okay, we're going to have to watch those.
Watch
Yes.
them.
Okay.
And another movie too, one of the Saw films, they put the characters in a silo and then they let the grain pour on them. And then they throw like pitchforks and sharp objects at them because they can't move.
Yeah.
I don't think I would survive a saw trap.
Oh, absolutely not.
If this happens too, like if you're engulfed or you're entrapped, rescuing someone from this is highly challenging and almost impossible. Time is very limited if you're lucky and you're only trapped.
Oh,
So
boy.
if you're trapped,
shit.
you're lucky because
Okay.
you have a little bit of a shot.
Okay.
What often happens is that they need to create holes at the bottom of the silo to drain it of the grain, therefore creating movement and pressure relief. It can take days to find a body immersed in grain. Days.
Oh, shit.
Now, also because
And all that wasted grain.
all that wasted grain.
Yeah.
Now, because this happens in vast rural areas, that's a weird word to say.
Vast rural.
Rural is hard.
Yeah.
I guess like vast farm areas where there's like a shit ton of
Rural.
land.
It's like it's very wordy.
It is rural.
Yeah.
It sounds like you have marbles in your mouth.
It does.
Yeah.
Rural.
Sounds like you have wheat. Sounds like you have grain in your mouth.
Oh.
Okay. So it can take a very long period of time just for the rescue teams to arrive because of how long the distance is.
Yeah, you might be made into bread by that point.
Probably.
Oh boy, that's
And
depressing.
in some cases, the rescue teams will locate the entrapped person, and they have to use these really long metal sheets that almost look like a tube. And what happens is that they put it on top of the person, and they press down, and it builds this cocoon around them. So they're still trapped in the grain, but now they're only trapped in the amount of grain that's within that tube. Once they're in that tube, then they start to separate the grain, getting them out. But again, that takes like hours and hours and hours.
And it's not gluten free.
It's not gluten free. I have two examples that I'm just going to talk about real quick.
Okay. Talk away.
One's very grim. The other one is a success story.
Okay.
This one happened to a gentleman who was only 18 years old. His name was Tommy Ozier, and this happened in Standish, Michigan in 2011. Tommy was a junior in high school when he got a job working on a neighbor's farm. One Monday morning, volunteer firefighters responded to a 911 call where they were informed that Tommy was buried under 20 feet of grain.
Oh.
It took 35 workers 4 hours to remove his body from the silo. On a New York Times feature, they speak to his mother, who was present while they removed his body from the silo. In this, she states that he had corn impacted into his mouth and nose, and the pressure from the grain was so severe that while he was under the grain, it completely dislodged his jaw.
Oh my God.
And
Shit.
also corn was impacted into his lungs. So this is gruesome. Like,
That
this
is
insane.
Now I don't want to eat corn anymore.
Yeah.
throughout
No.
my pregnancy. The baby's like
Your-
moving around a lot right now.
Your baby's like, I don't like
I
corn
think he's
anymore,
like telling
mother.
me like, don't give me corn anymore.
Unfortunately for Tommy, it's a very like tragic story.
Yeah, poor
Tragic
Tommy.
ending. And all he wanted to do is just work.
I know.
Right.
Absolutely.
So the next person this happened to who survived, his name was Eric Baker, and he lived in Iowa Falls, Iowa, and this happened to him when he was 23 years old, which was in recent times. Eric Baker is, like I said, a survivor of being engulfed in grain.
He is an engulfed survivor.
Yes, Eric Baker.
So Eric had to go inside of a silo to remove some rotten corn and unplug a hole. So much like what we said earlier.
Yeah.
You know, because it was like condensed. He was doing his job, and then suddenly an air pocket below sucked him into the grain, and he was engulfed in 22,000 bushels of corn.
Bushels.
I don't know what the word bushels mean.
I think bushels I think is actually like a bundle of corn.
Oh, got
That's
it.
what I think a bushel is. I don't know how much is in a bushel. If any of you know what's in a bushel, message us. Let us
Yeah.
know.
Let us know. So suddenly an air pocket below sucked him down, and he was engulfed in 22,000 bushels of corn.
All for wanting to plug a hole. Is
Yeah.
that it?
Yeah.
Wow. He was
Or
dedicated, poor thing.
move the grain around
Yeah,
or something.
move the corn grain.
So in less than 10 seconds, there was already 2 feet of corn above his head.
Oh my goodness.
And the way that it positioned him, his arm was above his head. So you could only see an inch of his fingers from above the grain.
Oh, that's like, for everybody listening, an inch of a finger, if you want a quick reference, is your fingertip.
Yeah.
That is an inch.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's something in hair that you do. If you need a quick reference for what an inch is, you compare your fingertip.
Interesting.
Yeah. I don't know. Other people might disagree, but I use it as a reference.
Well, so did he, because that's how they found him.
Because
From
the
his-
fingertips.
His fingertips were sticking out.
Yeah.
Of the
like
grain.
this. I picture it just like this.
Yeah.
Like this for everybody who's watching.
Awful.
Yeah.
It's doing on my hands.
Yes.
What's really horrifying about his case is that no one was around to help him, and his father had left the farm for the day. He had no idea when his father was going to return.
Oh, God.
How did he get out?
And we'll talk about that. So
Shit.
Baker was alone, and he struggled to breathe.
God.
Because also he had 450 pounds of grain pressed up against his chest.
Ooh.
So
terrible.
here's how...
When I'm sick, I feel like I have 450 grains of corn on my chest.
Yeah.
So here's how he survived. He happened to be asthmatic. So when he would be working in the silos, he would wear a ventilation mask inside of the silo to filter the air, because there's like dust and mold and like grainy particles that would trigger his asthma.
Yeah.
So even though it's an air filter, it doesn't actually create any oxygen. However, in this case, because he was engulfed in the grain, the mask served as a barrier for his nose and mouth, basically not letting the corn go in.
Wow.
Oh my God.
So he credits his survival as to wearing the mask.
Or having asthma.
Or to having asthma, because if he didn't have the mask, he would have been dead within minutes. When his father returned back to the farm, he couldn't find Eric. He went into the silo and saw a rope that he was attached to. So a lot of farmers, as a safety measure, they'll wear a rope.
Yeah.
Just in case if something like this happens. He could see that the rope went into the grain, and he immediately knew this was like bad. This was really, really bad.
The poor father, too.
Yep. So he pulled the rope, realized his son was trapped under God knows how much grain. Once help arrived, they utilized that weird rescue tube I told you about to dig him out of the grain. After 3 hours of digging, he was finally removed with minor injuries to his foot, shoulder. He was also suffering from heat exhaustion. It was an 88-degree day, but inside the silo, it could go anywhere up to 120 degrees.
Oh my fucking God.
Yeah.
That's
So-
intense.
So till this day, he's still a farmer.
Good
He's
for
just like,
him.
shit happens, you know? But obviously...
Grain happens.
Grain
happens.
Grain happens.
Yeah.
But he is obviously more, cognizant and aware of these sort of issues that can arise.
Yeah.
Moving forward, today there are laws put into place to ensure that there are more safety measures. However, due to how the legal system works, there are loopholes for farms that run strictly by families and that are operated by family members. Because these families are immune to some of the government issue safety measures, those seem to be the ones that are being buried in these silos.
Yeah, because they're allowed to have especially special laws that apply to them. It like loosens requirements.
Yeah.
So there's more danger involved.
Yeah, and I'm not even going to get into it because it's going to get boring, but there's a whole, like, political backlash.
Of course there is.
With this, and it's a whole to-do, and I was like, oh, God, like, everyone just stop.
Yeah.
But I guess my final thought with this is that I think this is
Jerry's final thought.
Jerry's final thought. I think...
R.I.P.
Rest in peace,
Jerry.
Jerry. But I think that this is a very bizarre and awful way to die.
It is.
Yet it really only affects a certain group of people, which is farmers. The three of us, we live in like the suburbs. We're 40 minutes outside of New York City. For people like us, for peasants like us, we don't hear of anything like
We're
this.
such peasants.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
you only like this only makes it to like the news in these areas like Fox News Iowa, which I mean it's Fox, I really can't believe a word that they say, but
Yeah.
Apparently a lot of people living on farms were unaware of this threat for the longest time, and it was to the point where even like kids, little children, are playing on the grains in these silo bins, not knowing that there could be like an air pocket below them that would kill them. And that's basically the story with silo deaths.
Wow. Wow, Mark, that was great.
That was
Thank you.
I love it.
And
And
when you eat corn, just think about all the farmers that died.
yeah, absolutely.
I might have to rethink eating that now.
Yeah, because
this baby really
Jen-
won't stop fucking kicking.
Jen's baby likes corn, and now that this baby has heard about this episode, the baby is kicking at Jen because it's saying no more corn, no more corn.
Jerry made a point though before I came here to record, and he actually said, he's like, The baby actually gets to hear all the uncut footage.
Oh my God, the baby actually knows what we really
The
say.
baby knows exactly what we're saying.
Oh, I love that so much. And in the next episode, you can take the headphones and go for the visual. I'm doing that. So we'll have to get a fourth set of headphones
For the baby.
Yeah. Oh my God.
He'll lose his shit.
The baby will really hate us after that.
He'll fucking hate us.
I know, but you know what? It's all good. And
He'll resent us.
yes, well, I mean, most people do resent us, so
Exactly.
It's kind of what
That's
it's
fine.
kind of what we're used to.
Yeah.
We have more to expect in the future anyway.
We sure do.
So I mean, but with that being said, I mean, until next time, patreon.com/bizarre buffet.
Instagram, Facebook. BizarreBuffet.com.
Absolutely.
And if you're listening to us, you can watch us on YouTube at
Hey,
Bizarre Buffet.
what's going on, hooker?
You could see my farmer shirt. And if you're watching us, you can listen to us on any podcast platform.
Spotify, Apple. With that being said, I am buttered corn on the cob.
And I am Old McDonald's.
I love your farm.
E-I-E-I-O, bitch.
And I'm the tornado in Twister that broke the farm.
Do you know Bonnie Hunt?
You mean Helen Hunt?
Helen.
Helen Hunt.
Whatever, fuck it.
Who's Bonnie Hunt?
Oh, I don't know. She's another actor.
I'm the tornado from Twister.
She's the fucking tornado from goddamn Twister.
Oh, Twister.